I'm here with Winston. Winston is a 10-week-old mini golden doodle, and Winston is deaf. Now, Winston is from a local shop called Tully's. Tully's sells puppy mill dogs. When his guardian purchased Winston, she did not know that he was deaf because Tully's probably didn't know he was deaf. You should never, ever, ever buy a dog from a pet store. Now, the guardian here is a client of ours who already worked with her other dog, and she loves him, so she's going to keep him. But that's really what those pet stores are hoping for. Those dogs are taken out of a really horrible existence. They are not loved. He doesn't really like toys. He pees in his kennel. He is deaf. He might have some visual issues. There might be other health issues. A breeder really cares about their dog, and they go a long ways. And I'm going to go through some tips to help you with a deaf puppy in this. But I wanted to just kind of articulate a little bit. Don't ever buy a dog from a pet store, and they're hoping that you're going to think, I'm going to rescue that dog and get it out of here. He was over $1,000. And that allows them to do it for dozens and dozens of it just self-perpetuates. So if you want to get a dog, get it from a shelter, get it from a rescue. If you have a deaf dog, like Winston's guardian here has hired me to help, and we're going to go through the tips to help if you have a deaf puppy or adult dog. But I just wanted to use this little PSA. Don't go to a place like Tully's. Get it from a breeder or a rescue or a shelter. All right, so because he's deaf, we need to, first of all, help him understand what it is that we want. So we're going to use a marker signal. Now, a marker is an indicator that lets the dog understand that they did what you wanted them to do. It comes the instant they did the thing that you want, unless the thing that you want has duration. And if it has duration, then it comes to a conclusion, like if he's going potty, which he just did outside when he got done. When he looked at me, I went like this, and I gave him a treat. So this is the marker we're using for him, a thumbs up sign, which is pretty ubiquitous for us. So when he's looking at me, I go like this, and then I give him a treat. I like to have two hands, and then the treats come from my other hand. So eventually you're going to do it from the same hand, but I want to start off with good mechanics. All right, so to do a loading exercise like this, you typically you want a little bit of distance. So I'm going to lure him a little bit further away from me, and going down away from the dog is more enticing. So he's there. I'm going to get him to look. So I want a little distance so he can see that hand flash. And so basically I flash the hand, and then he gets a treat. This is going to mean in the future, yes, I thank you for sitting down, thank you for pottying, thank you for coming, whatever it is. Okay, so to do a loading exercise, you want to do this with about 12 to 20 treats or pieces of kibble throughout your whole house. I want him to know it works in the living room, the dining room, the bedroom, and so on. I usually do it about 6 to 8 times. So you want to do it when you go like this, you should see that tail go, and he's happy. All right, now what we're going to do is I'm going to show you a little hand targeting. And he wasn't picking up on all that great earlier. Little cat, this is the benefit of having dogs versus cats. The cat did all that, it wasn't a dog. All right, so I'm going to try and teach him a little hand targeting while his mom cleans that up. You can put that spoon down, we won't need it for a sec. All right, so what I'm going to do, let's get better camera presence so that they can see what's going on. So I have the treats in this hand, and I have this hand is my hand that I'm going to teach him to touch his nose to. And I'm giving that treat. And so and again, this is where it gets a little difficult when you have a deaf dog, is you usually would like to signal from one hand and then treat from the other hand. So, but here I can't do that, so I'm going to hold it between my thumb and between my pointer finger, index finger, and ring finger, or middle finger. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a flashing moment, and then he gets that treat. So I'm changing my hand, which I normally don't. So he touches it, you go thumbs up, then he gets a treat. Then I like to put in my other hand, I like to go lefty, righty, lefty, righty. So the hand movement will get his attention. Then I put a treat on the hand. And then I'm going to put all the treats in this hand, and I'm going to do it on this side. And yeah, you're looking for that treat. And he gets that treat. Now, teaching a dog to touch his nose with your hand is something I teach a lot of dogs. I especially like doing it for deaf dogs and blind dogs. Because what we want to do is eventually, let's say I want him to look in the direction of the camera. Well, that was just kind of a scratch. But after you do it enough, the dog will start tracking your hand. This is it's based on for positioning a dog, but it's also helpful to when you're luring a dog. So I want to lure him into a sit. I can go like this, and then the treat was in my other hand. So I'll probably have it linked above, hand targeting. But that's something you want to teach him. Now I'm going to go through a medley of several things in this video, so we're not going to go super in depth because I want to just kind of have a video for the guardian to go through. I probably made it longer than I want to. All right, so so the loading exercise, you want to do that over the course of a day or two. Thumbs up, treat when he sees you, looking at you, and again, walk around the house. All right. So after a while, then once we've loaded it properly, when he does the thing that we want, we're gonna he looks at me, and then I'm gonna give him a treat. Eye contact and rewarding check-ins is very important for a deaf dog. We want them looking at us more than other dogs so we can give them visual signals. Now, a deaf dog training is not that much different than dogs that can hear, because dogs are very visual creatures. We talk a lot, but really they're listening for specific words. And they do learn through gesture. For example, if I'm going to lay down, I just kind of lure him into a down and release the treat. When I go into up, I'm going to lure him, and then he gets the treat. Now, all right, so one of the things you want to do if you have a deaf dog, and I am not a fan of electronic collars, e-collars, except for in this situation. And I'm not talking about a shock collar. A lot of aversive trainers call them an e-collar because it sounds gentle. A shock collar, anything that shocks your dog and conducts electricity in your dogs, it is a punishment. It is going to create a negative association for your dog, and there's also some health problems that can come as a result of it. Force trainers will try to give you all excuses where it's correct. It's BS. We would never shock our children or anything else that's not appropriate to shock dogs. But an e-collar that has no shocking capabilities, that only vibrates, for a deaf dog can be a really godsend. Because we want the vibration to mean, look at me. So when we do that, the first thing we're going to do, there you go, I'm going to reward that, and we're rewarding a celebrate, and I'll talk about that in a sec. But basically what I would do is I get it on him and have him wear it. Now, shock collars you have to wear pretty tight. You should always be able to get 2 fingers between a collar and the dog's skin. So basically, it doesn't need to be tight, but we don't want it to be so loose that it causes problems. He's a small dog, so it'll be harder to find one. So I look for maybe a collar specifically for a dog that is deaf, that doesn't have the probes and electrodes. So what you want to do is have him wear it for a couple days. Yeah, you're getting feisty. You want a treat, huh? I'll load a little bit. So you want him to wear it for about 3 or 4 days without it being on and no vibration whatsoever. So he just gets used to it. It's a distinctive look or a feel, and so it's going to be one of those things where we want him just to be associated and comfortable with it before we start using it. Once we've done that, then our next step here, you get the crumbs, buddy. Go ahead and lick those up. The next step is when it's on, I would take it off him and I'd put it in my hand, and then I would have my partner, and I'd put it on my dog somewhere, have my partner press the vibration button. But before I'm doing that, I'm going to be holding a treat to his lips. So let's say that the e-collar's in this hand. So I'm holding it. I'm holding it here on him. It's not on. It's not vibrating. I let him start chewing this, and then somebody presses the button. Now it vibrates a little bit, and then I release the treat. And I do that at first because I don't want him to be startled. I want him to kind of be trying to get this treat, and just a little bit of vibration, no big deal. And then I'm going to repeat that a couple times just to make sure that the introduction of the vibration element isn't something that's scary for him. It should be a positive, not a negative. Eventually, what we're going to do is, if he's not looking at us, we press the vibration button. He looks at us, and then we're going to give him a signal. Whatever it is. Now, when it comes to deaf dogs, people come up with their own signals, and for some reason, everybody uses the one we see on the movies for the military. This means sit or lay down. This means stop, I believe, in the military. But for dogs, we want bigger, bolder gestures. So if I want a dog to sit, this is my dog's particular gesture to sit. If I want my dog to lay down, I go like this. It's a big, bold movement. But a lot of people like using American Sign Language. There's all sorts of different stuff that's already been created, and the benefit is that if you're actually out and about and somebody actually knows American Sign Language, they can actually communicate with your dog. If you come up with your own signals, you have to teach everybody what theirs. Nothing wrong with that, but there's some benefits to it. It's a personal preference. All right, so yes, he's getting all those crumbs off me. Okay, so touching. Is an exercise I'm going to go over here in a sec, a desensation. It's really important you get deaf dogs comfortable being handled because they don't hear us approaching. So they need us to feel comfort, and if we start touching in the same place with a gentle touch each time, that can help. So if I'm going to touch, I usually recommend here or here. So a very light touch, then I can give it a little pet or a treat, and then I can go to pet as much as I want, but I'm just initiating the touch here. Then I can go to touching my dog wherever he wants, as long as he's not giving me cutoff signals. Cutoff signals for dogs include ducking the head, turning away, kind of bracing, ears rotating back, refusing to look at us, refusing to come to us. It's really important for deaf dogs that we recognize and learn those things. We just think petting a dog is a good positive thing. It is, if the dog likes it. If the dog doesn't want to be petted and I'm restraining the dog while I'm petting it, it's not okay. So we're going to kind of let the dog do what he wants to do. And you just keep it on me for now. All right, so basically, watch for those cutoff signals. I should have those linked in a video above that kind of talks about it in a little bit more detail. Always let him, if you want a puppy that cuddles, this is not a deaf thing, but if you want a puppy that cuddles, as an adult dog, you need to have them cuddled voluntarily as a puppy. Now, one of the ways that I can do that is, if I can get his attention, and go ahead and just, there you go. There we go. He's like, yeah, now I see it. So if he's, I don't want to keep him here if he doesn't want to be here, but I can kind of lure him in with a treat up on me a little bit. Come here, buddy. I'm going to pick you up even though I'm talking about consent because I know that you don't have a problem with it. So let's say I lured him up. I just want to do this for expediency purposes. So while he's chewing on the treat, I'm petting him. And that kind of keeps him here. But if he wants to leave, I let him go. So I can leave whenever I want, but if I come to David, I get these treats and he's going to touch and pet me. And he always starts in that same place with a very light touch, and then he starts petting me other places. I also want to talk about celebrating before I get to more body handling. So celebrating is waiting for a dog to do something voluntarily on their own and marking and rewarding them. So for like right here, I'm asking you not to pet him for just 1 sec. I want to see if he'll come back to me. I didn't ask him to come, but coming to me is a desirable action. So every time your dog looks at you and give him a pet, going back to consent, the best place to pet a puppy is, or any dog, is here, 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 here. For those dogs, they kind of like those areas. And so, yeah, that's your magic spot. If you go to initiate contact with a dog, actually, I was talking about down here, I would actually have 2 spots for you. I would have there, but I would also have, let's see which one he likes better. I'm going to use his body language. We'll see. I'm going to move away to get him to come to me. He's like, oh, there's a lot of treats on the floor. There we go. All right, so let's see if we can get you positioned sideways so people can see a good profile. And I'm going to show you cutoff signals. Whoops. He's more interested in the treat. So we'll give you a treat. See how he kind of shied away a little bit? Now if I go like here, doesn't seem to mind. If I go here, doesn't seem to mind. Oh, and he had a little bit of a scratch. So generally speaking, if a dog leans into something, that's one of the ways that they say they like something. So if you're petting him and he kind of leans into it, that's a good thing. All right, so yeah, get in a habit petting him like here, and if he kind of shrugs away like that, then pet him on his chest. Now I think he's just being a puppy full of beans right now, but when you're nice and relaxed, get in pet him here, and see, does he lean in and lift his nose up, or does he kind of want to get away? So do the same thing here. So you want to find a spot where you pet him, he kind of like goes, oh, this feels good, or leans into you. That would be the other place that I would like to pet him. All right, so now what we're going to do is a little bit of a handling exercise we go over in our puppy classes, and she's going to learn this because he's in our puppy classes, but I wanted to show you how to do it on camera. Now I'm going to do this with training wheels version first. I'm letting him lick the treat, I'm going to touch his paw, and I release that treat. Touch the treat, touch the paw, release the treat. Now for a dog, pulling a paw away could be a cutoff signal. And so just be mindful. Now there, I think he was just being a puppy and walking away, but he's consistently pulling his paw back. All right, so now we're going to do it here, and we're going to lift up the ear and then release the treat. We do that for the other ear. We'd also like to look in his eye, so look at that and lift that and then release the treat. When dogs go to vets, they get shots often, so what we like to do is tenting. I'm pinching gently a little bit of skin, and then I'm releasing that treat. I'm going to lift up his tail and then release the treat. And I would touch all 4 paws. I would lift up both ears, look at both eyes. We also like to look in their mouth a little bit. Let's see if I can do that. And so I'm going to hold it here and just lift his lift up a little bit and then release that treat. I would do it for the other side as well. So we want to get used to being examined. Now, what I just did was the training wheels version. So now what I would like to do is go like, so there you go. I'm going to lift up the chin, and then I'm going to give him a treat after. And that's making the lift what's called a precedent. So the human lifts up my ear, and then I get a treat. So I don't mind people messing with my ear because it means something good is going to happen. And again, as a deaf dog, we want to make sure that, yeah, and I'm forcing you a little bit. I want you to stay over here. But as a deaf dog, we need to make sure it's very comfortable being handled. Now, another little tip when you have a deaf dog is to, and it seems kind of counterintuitive, is to put a little bell on their collar. It's not so that he can hear it, it's so we can hear him. So yes, that's where my treat pouch is. There's a cat in the house, there's another dog. So if he comes up to them and he's wearing that, that bell, they can hear him. If he gets loose and can't hear us calling him, we can hear him. So that's why you want to wear a bell, have a deaf dog wear a bell. All right, let me see. What else do we want to go over? Yes. So the handling exercise I'm going to have linked up above. We want to have everybody, get used to doing that. All right. So now the last thing we're going to go over, I forgot that. And so I'm going to need both that and the peanut butter. All right. Now because he is a super cute fluffy toy, but because he is deaf, we need him to be able to have really good eyesight. Now, grooming dogs is kind of difficult. So I'm going to have you, can you join us and just hold this out and just hold it and let him lick it. So I want to do something to keep him occupied. Now I have some scissors. And then he licks. So I'm not actually snipping. We want to go right towards it all the time. All I'm doing is just getting him used to. He's seeing this thing approaching, but he's licking this, so he's distracted. Do it the other side as well. And these are have a little bit of turn. Now these have points to them. I would recommend you get we have a medical professional in the house. So get those safe scissors that have the rounded part, and be careful though, because that could cause the damage to the eye as well. So what I'm gonna do is just I'm gonna hold his head a little bit. Snip a little bit of that here. And it's really important, we're not trying to pin the dog down when we're doing this. And if you need to take a break, take a break. This might take several iterations before you can get it done. But we just want to cut all that hair around. I'm not a groomer, so groomers probably watching and go, he's doing it all wrong. You might find a groomer to help you with this, but it probably, because he's so fluffy, you're going to need to do it quite a bit. You want to keep the hair around his eyes pretty trim so that he can see those signals that we're going to give to him. And so again, while he's looking at it, you're just getting the scissors approach, and then he licks some more. Scissors approach. And eventually, you could actually, I'll try it, see if I can do this a little bit. Hold. Big puff of hair. So I'm doing probably a horrible job giving him a haircut, but you guys get the concept. So this is something you can use cream cheese or peanut butter. Be careful about how much you give him, but it's okay. We're doing this sort of thing because we want to make sure he stays safe. Let me see. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. There's a whole lot of other stuff for deaf dogs. I'm going to do a write-up above this one, so I'll put some notes there. But he's a cute little dog. Fortunately, he has a guardian who's going to look out for him. But if he would have been surrendered back to Tully's, he might have been destroyed. And again, that's why people, well, I won't do that. I'll keep him. The guardian here is a nice, lovely person, but she's going to have an inconvenience in her life that she wouldn't normally have to have because of him being deaf. Now, there's nothing wrong with being deaf. Absolutely. He can have a very rewarding and enriching life. But it is more than what the guardian signed up for, and having a puppy by itself is difficult. And because they don't do health and temperament testing, his parents are probably going to produce other blind or deaf, probably deaf, puppies that other people are going to have to deal with or going to have to get destroyed. So again, I don't want to start this in a negative, but we really don't want to see dogs going through these sort of things. So if you have a breeder, usually the breeder contract's going to say if the puppy doesn't work out, it comes back to me. It doesn't go to a shelter. That's a good indication of a good breeder. Good breeder also does usually something called puppy culture, where you can give a dog a stronger heart, a better immune system, the ability to separate fear from stress. And people who breed dogs for profit, you're not going to see that. If you can't meet the mom and dad, if you're going for a breeder, you should be able to see where they were whelped, raised, and you should be able to see mom or dad. If they won't do that or won't let you see their house, don't get the puppy. That's usually an indication that they're doing kind of some stuff that we don't really necessarily like. And also, last little tip, if you get a puppy, you really want to get a puppy that was raised inside, not outside. And see, here I go making a kissing sound. You got peanut butter all over your chin. Come here. So also a little lure. So I have a treat in my hand when he looks in this direction. If he looks in this direction.
Nice treats.
Gotta get some water. That peanut butter is a hard deal. What I'm gonna do is wait for him to see. Can you take a step backwards? There you go. So he's drinking some water and film me if you could. I'm going to, actually, maybe if you could stand up and go put your back to the door right there so you get a better angle. Maybe or even behind me. That's a little bit tall for him. He's going to the more challenging one. He's got one right next to it, right next door that's a little bit lower. And so what I'm going to do is, for dogs, the lower the hand goes, the more it's for the dog. So as soon as he looks at me, and my hand is, I'm ready. I'm not waiting for him to look and then put my hand there. My hand is ready to go. And as soon as he looks at me, I'm going to lower my hand. And what we should see is he jogs right on over to me. But I gotta wait for him to look. Thumbs up, and he gets a treat. And you got peanut butter and water all over your chin. Well, this is my buddy Winston. Winston! You gotta say it with a Jamaican accent. This is Winston, and these are some tips and tricks you can use if you have a deaf puppy.